there's going to be domestic violence until we die. You must be able to take care for yourself. You have to. I have a little great niece. She's going to be 8 this May. I'm 8 in March. And ever since she was 3 weeks old, I brought her to my home. And I kept her for a week so my niece could get a break.
Okay.
And I kept telling her, you are going to grow up to be a strong woman. You are going to have a job. You are going to have a home of your own. You're going to buy it. No man's going to buy it.
Right. Okay.
And my husband's sitting, he says, why are you talking that so strong? But you should see her now. She said, I'm going to be an artist. She won an award for the first grade for her first painting that she did by him, by George Washington School of Art.
Great.
Now, you don't think this chick over here wasn't proud? Yeah. Oh, I was so proud.
As she should be. Yeah.
But, I mean, every time she's with me, she draws more and more. And she says, Aunt Rose, I want to be just like you. And she says, I don't want to just do pictures. I want to do clothes. I want to fix models for hair. Right. And I said, good, when Aunt Rose gets a new wig, you can help me fix that too. Right. And I mean, she and I are just like this. So that's my baby. That's my girl. That's my girl.
Yeah, I think you're right. We do have to start teaching at an early age.
In the home, yes.
And one of the critical things we found also in the domestic violence research was that many young girls in the teenage dating process are experiencing domestic violence at such an early age. And as you said,
no education, no job.
Teaching and training that is unacceptable. You are a princess and a queen, so that just cannot be tolerated. And so one other thing we found was that there are over 2 million women that were victims of domestic violence per year. So this is not just...
That's not what we don't know about, though. There's plenty more, I'm sure.
Yeah, those are the ones that reported, and we found out that it's normally about the 7th or 8th time, many times even the 10th time before it gets reported. So if there were 2 million that were reported,
there's millions that aren't.
Never even voiced. And so it is a crisis, and some have said, well, this is just a problem in lower socioeconomic levels. But we found out that domestic violence does not discriminate.
That's right. Race, creed, or color, or age.
Or even level of income, finances. It's it's an ugly equal opportunity employer or destroyer.
But with me, when I got out of it, I became very what I want to use. Now I'm a pillar of strength right now. Okay. It made me strong because I found out who I was. I didn't know who I was. I thought I was a wife, a mom, a homemaker, bing, 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 like I'm supposed to be. Because that's what my mother told me. You grew up, you're just going to get married. You don't need a college degree. You get married, you're going to become a mother, you're going to be a homemaker and all that kind of stuff. And I believe my mother. But for the women out there who are watching this show, get anything you can do to get a job and put some money in your own pocket. Because we give a man permission on how to treat us.
We were hoping that part of our approach was we're going to sound the alarm. And then
how are you going to do that?
One, by even sharing sermons about this difficult area of domestic violence, trying to be a, quote, safe haven, to open the doors of our church, to try to help people, families get to, I guess, phase 2, successful alternatives. One needs to begin preparing because there normally is a cycle. The tension begins to increase, then there's an explosion, then we have the honeymoon period. If this is going on repeatedly, one needs to have a strategy, a prayerful, clear strategy, perhaps extra set of keys, copy of critical documents,
so you have your own little pocket full.
Yes, so that you're not left out in the cold, as it were. And prayerfully, hopefully, situation will improve and get better, but in many cases, unfortunately, it does not happen.
Yeah, so, but if it does, they usually turn around and go right back too, because I just had that happen to me. I had a mom call me from Fort Washington, out your area, and I helped her with the 3 kids. 3 or 4 days later, she goes, I don't need any more help, I'm going back to my husband. I said, don't ever call me again. I don't have time for that.
I would just share that because it is a traumatic time of turmoil, and so we would try to help people transition through a difficult time. Now, some may feel that they can't make it. You have family and friends over the years, relationships, and so no one wants their family destroyed. So we try to go the second mile. Even if a sister, a woman did go back, we would try not to cut her off because it's been such a traumatic experience.
Right.
She may feel again that, what am I going to do? One, is embarrassing. It's fearful.
And she's got children and she's scared. How am I going to take care of them?
Right. And so we would try to reach out to her. So even though you have gone back, to try to walk with you through, let's see how dangerous is the situation. How can we help you? And so rather than cutting her off, we would extend the second mile to reach out to try to help her too.
But you know, how many times you're going to have to do that though?
I'm not sure. Each situation depends on a number of factors and the person's makeup, whether the person is financially able to support herself, is strong enough to begin a new life, perhaps after 10, 15, 20 years of marriage.
Yes.
It's a very difficult time and a lot of emotions. And so it is a very challenging time, to say the least.
Yes, it is challenging because it seems like the more you do, sometimes you're not getting out of it what you're putting into it.
Some just feel they cannot survive.
That's right.
Without this husband and my family.
The oldest lady I had call me up was 80 years old.
So.
Been married for 60 years. And I said, you've been beaten for 60 years? And she said, yeah, I've taken slaps and hits and burns and stuff like that. I mean, my husband would take the windows in our house and they were nailed from inside. And if he got mad at me, he would take my briefcase, the phones, everything. I had no way to get out of the house or anything else.
So I would hope that, from a pastor's point of view, that we would develop a stronger men's ministry. In many cases, perhaps 85 to 90%, the perpetrators of the violence are the men.
There's a lot of men are being abused
and so,
too.
Yes, I hear some men saying, well, there's some women that are violent. This is true.
There's a lot of women that are violent.
And we do find that to be true, but in many cases, the larger percentage of the perpetrators of the violence are still the males. So we have a lot of work to do with our men, even our boys, from an early age, how they should treat a young lady, how they should treat your wife. And again, you mentioned earlier about the modeling as a role model.
Right.
As the fathers, as the husbands, as the dads, as the uncles, as the men, we need to model what it is proper respect for a girl or a woman.
Because I've seen my mother and father get into it, and I saw my mom. My dad took her foot, and he broke it right in front of me. I mean, you know, I've seen a lot, and I've lived a lot.
Traumatic. So.
I have. But domestic violence is never going to end. It's never going to end. I'm going to show you something. Jim, don't put this on the air, okay?
This was
17 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
She's not the same woman anymore.
Wow. As you said, while it may never end, we hope and pray that
it will.
We can decrease.
We can bring it down a little bit. You know, we're not going to end it. Never.
And
it's never going to end.
One woman, one girl at a time, to begin to. Part of it, I think, will help again if we expose it, and also we have to pray for our law enforcement agencies.
Yes.
So that a restraining order does have some impact and not.
Those things are not worth the papers they're written on.
A smack on the wrist. And so, again, working with former State's Attorney Glenn Ivey, we have some issues.
I love Glenn. Glenn's a good guy.
Some issues in our legal system that need to be addressed, readdressed. Some things need to change because they're not really effective.
Because when I went to Upper Marlboro looking like that, the guy asked me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What do you think?" Well, I don't know. What are you doing here? And so I told him what had happened. He said, well, if you press charges, you better show up in court. I said, I would be there if I have to crawl. Because that's another thing women have to do. You're going to press those charges, daggone it, bring yourself to court. Because the judge is going to throw it out. So restraining orders and protective orders, they can still get into, the men can still get to you.
Yeah, we need.
I'm sorry, police, but that's true. You can still get to her or him. No, not just women, but men are badly abused as well.
Yes, yes.
But I've come up with a program that I used for myself. I took one whole year and I decided, this is it. What am I going to do? I'd rather be dead and continue on doing this.
Okay.
So I first went on to find out who I was. You must sit down and find out who you are, where you came from, not just your mother and your father, but what kind of a family would you like to have had?
Okay.
And that becomes your role model. So I learned about my life, then about the choices I made.
Okay.
Then the anger. Oh, the anger's terrible.
Okay.
But it's also wonderful because you can let it out. Get yourself a ball and a bat and just beat that ball until you can't beat it anymore. You're just getting your frustrations out of yourself. Then you have to sit down and figure out, can I forgive?
Okay.
And you can forgive what happened to you, but you can't keep hanging on to it. So I've devised a program on how to forgive and let it go.
Yeah, we'd like to partner with you.
I'd be glad to,
in
because
the
we have to
journey.
take responsibility for what we've done.
Right. And we think, again, from our community, many communities, people will begin to address these issues, this crisis, if the church embraces it.
Right.
And kind of gives you permission to begin to live a full life. And
it can be done, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. You get lonely, but you find things to do.
Okay.
And I really found out who I was. I found out what I like to eat.
Okay.
The kind of movies I like to go to, the kind of music I want. And I didn't want to become a Grinch and you just throw men out of my life completely.
Right.
But I was going to make sure nobody was going to do anything else to Angie. Angie wasn't going to take it anymore.
From a pastor's and minister's point of view, we would say that before one can truly find out who they are, they must find a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yes.
As
God
Lord and
always has
Savior.
been my best friend, always.
Then he introduces us to him and then introduces us to ourselves.
Because our brain only sees what our heart wants to feel.
Okay.
So many of us, do you think that's true?
Say that again.
Our brain only sees what our heart wants to feel.
It's quite a profound statement. I would have to
I've lived with that.
think on that. Yeah. So, but I'm hoping and praying that we can, in fact, we can continue to make a difference and a larger impact as enough people address this issue. And we may have to call our congressman, our county council, and
Yes.
so it's going to take. My belief is that the church, county council, the government, other agencies
Yes.
that have expertise to come together and partner and labor and continue to stay the course, even though it is difficult. It's challenging, it's stressful, it's a lot of different things, but we can save one woman, one girl at a time, one family at a time, that we can begin the healing process.
But to be able to walk in and out of Jessup was so rewarding for me, because that's a tough prison. And I would go in a room with probably 50 female inmates, and I'd have them lock the door, and I was in there alone, and I felt more content and safe with them than I do in my own house. Because I've worked with women, they were murderers. But you hear the beatings and all the things they went through. And so as one by one got out, like I said, I take collections of clothing out for them. And I have so many family out there.
Very courageous spirit. You have a very courageous spirit.
Yes, I will. I'm not going to run from anything. I won't run. I'll run into it, but I won't run away from it.
One other thing we found, too, that unfortunately many young men today are incarcerated because they've witnessed.
Father hitting girls.
And when they became of age, they said to their fathers or mother's boyfriends or significant others that when I get older, you're not going to continue to do that. And they meant that. And they are incarcerated as we speak. But,
and our time is up.
thank you for this time of sharing, and hopefully we can work together.
Oh, I will be glad to work with you because my program works.
Bless
Thank
you
you for being here with me today.
Thank you
We
for
both
having
have
me.
cold hands.
Thank you.
We got warm hearts, though, don't we?
That's the key.
I want to thank all of you for watching, and please sit down, watch this, sit with it. Don't take a drink, don't have nothing. Just watch this show today, and you're going to learn something. Until next time.